Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I've not done a live stream for a couple of weeks, but it's nice to be back. And of course, the international break is over, which is amazing. And that's a relief to you, isn't it, Dad?
Absolutely. I hate international breaks. Although I have to say it's been good that we're being away because it allowed the team the chance to get away to Dubai, and hopefully we'll see the benefits of that in the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the international break actually came at a really good time for us, because I think in the Everton game, we're all obviously really disappointed with the result, but I think the players, after a really good run, obviously we lost to Chelsea, then to Everton, but it felt like the Everton game we were exhausted.
We were running on empty in the second half.
Yeah. So I think having 2 weeks to pretty much best part of 2 weeks to sort of sort ourselves out and get fit and get players back.
It does seem to be in like a long time though, doesn't it? It seems to have been ages.
Yeah, the international breaks always feel like
it just seems lengthy.
Horrendous. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, and of course we've had the World Cup draw yesterday, so pretty good draw for England.
Very good draw for England. I don't think we can be unhappy about that at all. But of course, it was destined to be that we would have Scotland, Wales, or Ukraine in our group, wouldn't it? But
it is unbelievable how that's happened again. It's just mad. Because we had Scotland in the Euros, didn't we? And
yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. And then we had Wales, of course, in the Euros before, didn't we? So did we have Wales in the World Cup as well? Was it Wales in the World Cup? No, in the World Cup.
Do you know what? I can't remember.
It's 2016, isn't it? Yeah. When Wales were in the Euros.
Well, see, obviously, one of them's got to get through. I mean, there's Ukraine in there as well as a potential third team.
Yeah, and as Gareth Southgate was saying, I heard him interviewed today on 5 Live, and he was saying, if it's Ukraine, of course, there'll be such a sentimental value to it. And, with what's going on out there at the moment, that it'll have a whole different meaning to what it could have been normally. So,
yeah, be quite a group. Anyway, let's turn our attention to Newcastle.
Indeed.
Because that's why we're here. And we've got the Tottenham tomorrow. And massive game. Obviously, we're on the back of 2 losses. And really, for me, I think the important thing tomorrow is that we just stop the rot and we don't lose 3 in a row. I'd be happy with a point tomorrow.
Absolutely, a point would be great if we get that tomorrow. I'll be more than happy with that. So as you say, stop the rot. 3 defeats in a row is, and let's face it, is a distinct possibility. But you've got to hope that we can give them a game and be close.
Yeah, I think we can get anyone
today. They went to Chelsea and won 4-1. For goodness' sake, who on earth would have predicted that?
I know, it was a mad result. Result. It kind of annoys me. I mean, I'm happy for Brentford in a sense, but it annoys me because I think we could have beaten Chelsea. Actually, I think frustrating.
Yeah, on a different day we would have won. But I suppose we just got to be thankful where we are really. Where we were 2 months ago.
Absolutely. Evening, Jim. Evening, Andy and Dexter.
Evening, everyone.
Dexter's over in Australia, 5 a.m. on Sunday morning over there already. Needing his coffee. I don't blame you for that one. Although next weekend it's the Australian Grand Prix, so I'll have a similar start time next weekend to watch the Grand Prix. I think it starts at 6 a.m., but we get up a little bit before that, so that'll be one to watch if you're an F1 fan. It's all good so far this season. So let's just look at... just going back to Tottenham. They've had some funny results this season, recently this season, but actually, if you look at their recent form, it's actually quite good. They've had the odd, really random result where they've lost a game they shouldn't have lost, and they lost in the cup and all that kind of stuff. But actually, when you look at their form... in the league, they've won. I think they've won 5 out of the last 6, and they've certainly won 4 of the last 5. They've only lost 1 in the last.
So put that in context. Have we won 4 out of the last 6?
Yes, I think we have. We've won. We've won 3 of the last 5.
It's just the fact that we've lost the last 2 that makes it slightly different, doesn't it?
Yeah, but Tottenham have won their last 2, so they're their recent form is better in a sense. They're looking for 3 in a row. We're trying to stop having 3 defeats in a row.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Sorry, that's the wrong one. So that's the picture in the league. That's our league table position at the moment.
Well, today was quite good for us, wasn't it? Because I mean, Watford lost, Burnley lost, Leeds drew. There's only Brentford actually. The result that if you had to pick the results for today, there's only Brentford actually winning. That actually was anything we would have said, oh, that's not good. But in the scheme of it, I think I'm quite happy with that. I think we're fine. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I do. I made a video about this during the week, and I think I'm absolutely convinced that the magic number this season is going to be about 32 to 33 points.
Yeah,
I think that's what it'll be.
If you look at it, if Watford are the 9 points behind us, so they've got to win 3 games just to catch us, and they've only got 8 games left.
Yeah, they've also got a worse goal difference,
a worse goal difference. So they're going to have to have an unbelievable run of results to even pass us, let alone
Yeah. Well, they've got 8 games left, and they would have to win 3 and draw 1 just to get ahead of us. And
that's what I'm saying.
That's if we don't take any more points at all. We may as well look at our fixtures while we're at it. So obviously we've got Tottenham tomorrow, and then after that we've got 2 home games against Wolves and Leicester. And
we've got 3 actually.
We've got 3, because the Palace game as well, of course. Yeah, 3 home games in a row. So of course we've had this run of away games, and now we've got a run of home games.
Yeah,
Norwich away, and then we've got Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, which is obviously tough. But so you kind of look at those next 4 games, and you think, can we just win one of them or 2 of them? And I think,
to be honest, if we could pick 6-7 points from those 4 games, we'll be fine. Yeah, I think we're fine now, as we say. I think if we can pick up another 5-6 points from those games, maybe 7 if we're lucky. But I just think it's in our hands really, just to press home the advantage of those home games. If we can beat Wolves next Friday night, and there's no reason why we can't, then I think that'll be sufficient, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually
just contradicted myself 3 times in the last minute, because I've said 6 or 7 points, 5 or 6 points.
I actually think, personally, I think 1 win, maybe 4 points will be enough, but I think we'll get more than that. I think this team has shown that. Yes, the last 2 results have been disappointing, but I don't see us going on a run of like we were on at the start of the season where we couldn't buy a win. I think we will pick up points. I mean, we've got Norwich away, for example. That we should be going there and win it at this point with the players we've got.
I still think we'll get beyond 40 points, to be honest. I said that to you and Andrew a couple of weeks back. Looking at it.
Wouldn't surprise me. Andy is back from living in Thailand, so normal time to join you live. Well, welcome back, Andy. I wouldn't mind going to Thailand for a little bit.
I bet it's not as hot here as it is there.
No, I bet not hailstones today, man. It's just ridiculous. Brentford must have played against 11 instead of 13. Yes, Stevens. Yeah. The officials obviously not causing them any problems today. I'm still annoyed at the way the Chelsea game panned out. Actually, I really feel like the Chelsea game and the Man United game at home really bugged me, because I just think there were 2 games when we should have got at least a point from Chelsea, and I think we should have beaten Man United at home, and they're the 2 games out of the whole season that really they still bug me, that we didn't get what we deserved from them.
Yeah, definitely the Chelsea game. But rubber the green and all that.
Yeah, Dexter says we're so bad in front of goal, we would have missed the penalty against Chelsea. We might.
I don't know who would have taken the penalty, to be honest.
Well, no one seems to know who our penalty taker is, because we never.
Well, because we don't get many, do we? That's the point.
I mean, if Wilson's fit, obviously he does, but of course, Wilson isn't fit, and Eddie Howe this week saying he doesn't have a time frame in mind for when Wilson will be fit, and that to me is really annoying and worrying. Actually, I just think it just shows that we're not going to be able to rely on Wilson as a. You can't rely on him to be regular all season, which is why I think next season he'll be a good backup.
He'll be part of the squad definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good player, Callum Wilson, but you cannot rely on to be 100% fit all the time. So I think, a top class striker is going to be the priority in the summer. I think we need more goals. I mean, we've said it all season. Really, we need more goals. And to be honest, I mean, we said this 2 months ago, didn't we? Where the goals going to come from, and the players that we have stepped up and made it happen. So I think a striker is definitely a priority. There's no doubt.
I think we'll sign that'll be the big signing of the summer.
Yeah,
will be the striker. But I can see us actually bringing 2 strikers in, and
wouldn't surprise
having like 4 decent strikers in the squad with Wood and Wilson supported. But I can't see Wilson or Wood leaving.
No, we shouldn't really.
No,
I think they'll be part of it next season.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think so. That's what I think. I think that'll be a key position, and I also think that, as Dexter's saying, we're still not good enough in front of goal. Like that is still an issue. We've got some really good results, and we had that. Thank God we had that run of 9 games that has basically saved us. But the fact is, we haven't scored a lot of goals this season, and even after strengthening in January, we've got a bit better, obviously, which is fine, and that's helped us. But actually, the reason we've picked up those points really is because we've tightened the defence rather than started scoring loads of goals.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to eat this piece of orange cake in the Imam's best and a cup of tea.
Andy thinks we need 2 new strikers in the summer as well.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. And Dexter says a top class striker is going to cost 50 million at least, but I think they'll pay it. I do.
I
think there was discussion about the budget not being massive in the summer, but I don't buy that because they said they weren't going to spend loads in the January window.
Well, the thing about that budget is, who knows what the budget is? I mean, they may be giving out a figure just to warn off people, but they'll spend what is necessary. It's not going to be a problem. It's not like the days of Mike Ashley when he said we might spend a few bob and then spend less. It's like, I don't think we're going to go totally mad, and I believe that, and I don't want us to go totally mad, to be honest.
I think Staveley's made it clear that it's a gradual process. It's not going to be. It is not a Man City. It's not. It's not what Man City did.
And the thing is, the players we brought in January have improved the squad immensely. I mean, we've done this last month without Kieran Trippier since the Villa game, and he's going to still be a heartthrob of this team for the next couple of years, 2-3 years, no doubt about it. Dan Burns come in and surpassed all expectations, and Fabian Shaw has just had a renaissance, hasn't he? And he's such a good player, and now we're seeing that brought out even more by good coaching.
It is good coaching. I was about to say, there was a lot of this squad is not good enough, but within that squad, I mean, there is players who aren't good enough and will need to go, and some of them have already kind of been pushed out. But part of it was always about the coaching. Part of it was always the fact that Bruce couldn't coach players to the best of their ability or get anything out of them. It was just that was the way it was, and under Howe, it's just completely different. And he is getting more out of players who we thought, like Shelvey's the prime example. Who would have thought Shelvey would have the second half of the season that he's had?
That's right. He's been excellent. I think the thing we've got to remember is over the last decade we have not been run like a football club, and a football club which in the summer gets rid of players that are not good enough and they improve, and that's what you should do. We have not had that because, we've had Mike Ashley. Now, what we're going to find is some of the players we're very close to, and maybe with a bit of sentimentality about them, like Matt Ritchie, Dwight Gale, who played an important part over the last few years. But and I haven't said that. That's kind of a few years ago from Dwight Gale, isn't it? But you know what I'm saying? It's like some of these players have been around a long time and part of the furniture almost, but they're going to go. And that's what happens in top-class football. And
it's
that's the way it's got to be.
It's absolutely ruthless when you run properly. Like, If you can be replaced by someone better,
Mm-hmm.
you're gone. Like that's how it works, and that's how
I,
it
I
should
was
work.
I was watching something on Twitter who somebody put a link up, and it was David Kelly, and he was scoring the goal against Sunderland in the Derby game, and then a couple of weeks later he scored the winner against Portsmouth, which was the most crucial goal at that time in our history because it saved us from dropping into the third division. And he was talking, and then you just remember he scored a hat-trick against Leicester, and then he was out the door.
Yeah.
You know,
Keegan
and we
was
lost
absolutely ruthless.
He went, but that was personal reasons, admittedly. But this is what happens with football, isn't it? And you know, a few years later, we lost other players. You know, Andy Cole being the classic one with Keegan, wasn't it? You know, I mean, God, I was devastated when that happened. But
but Keegan had a plan, and he brought Ferdinand in, and you know, he was amazing. But I don't know. Yeah, it is true. It's part of what a normal football club should be doing. And I was thinking about Ryan Fraser the other day. Like, he's had a brilliant impact in the second half of this season. But if there's a better winger than him out there who comes in, then you know he'll be relegated to a squad player and then he'll leave, sort of thing. Or he might even go in the summer. Do you know what I mean? And I think I can see us buying 5 players in the summer. I think.
Yes.
If we're
two of them are strikers, then that's right. I think.
Yeah, but I think we need another winger, and you know, as good as Fraser is, you know, and he's become a bit of a fan favourite, hasn't he? Under Howe, and certainly more recently. But at the end of the day, you've got to be ruthless, and
what you've got to also have at the top level is 2 players in each position. That's what the elite work to, isn't it? And if that's what we're projecting ourselves towards, then that's a building process. Matt Targett's come in as well. We haven't mentioned him. I mean, he's done. I hope we sign him. I think the rumours are that we will sign him permanently, and he's just been so almost unsung in a way, isn't he? He's just sort of slotted in to that position.
Yeah.
And he's just been brilliant in an unassuming way.
Yeah, he's just got on with it.
He's just done his job. He's just done his job well, hasn't he? It's just
but then this goes back to what we're talking about. It's like those players who were at left back. So you look at Dummett, you look at Lewis. You know, like it looks like certainly one of them will be off. You know, at least. And that is kind of how it should be. I think Dummett will probably still be around for a while as a backup. But yeah. Also, looking ahead to next season, it's like I think I've not been on Twitter loads recently, but I've been on it a little bit, and there seems to be this. There's definitely a perception from some people that next season we should be just heading towards competing for the Champions League and stuff. I think that is completely misguided. I think the target next season will be to push for the top 6, but possibly miss the top 6. You know, be prepared to finish maybe 8th or 7th even. But I reckon next season, so it will be like that is a massive step for a club like us, who's literally just surviving relegation.
Absolutely. You know, and you think back to the Keegan days, that first season back, we finished 3rd, and it's just that was just truly amazing, really. I think what we need to see is progress up the league, that we're not in a relegation battle, and I think we'll get that next season. I think the other thing is we can actually make a good fist of, one of the cups.
I think
most of these top clubs, the first trophy they won was actually a cup.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be no doubt in my mind that the league and the FA Cup will be because the new owners will want a piece of silverware.
For your reward. Yeah,
the easiest way to do that is to target the cups and play your strongest teams throughout. And if we get that right, then you know that could happen. And if we improve the squad as we think we're going to, then you know we'll be in with a chance. You know, there'll be worse teams than us next season that will have won the FA Cup.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think the other thing as well is, you know, if we're pitching for 8, 7, 6. You know, it might be that we actually, Yeah, they did, but I'm just reading that comment. But I mean, it is
I
possible.
don't think Dino's saying we're going to do that. I think he's making the point that it's possible to climb up the league.
The other thing I was thinking about Keegan, when he talked about that first season in the Premier League, he said consolidation. We ruled that word out for a start. We banned it. We're not just consolidating. We're here to make a difference, and did. And you would like to think we could make a difference and head for for a higher position. But the top four, I mean, it's very competitive up there, and the squads these teams have got, and they're not going to hang around waiting for us to catch them up either.
No. I think we can't compete with the way that football is structured these days. Champions League football, whether you like it or not, is what players want and look for. So we're not in the market for those type of players, and so it's going to be hard to break that top four. And
not immediately. I think, and the other thing as well, we've got a squad and a team and a club who've been underachieving, not used to winning, and that goes back 50 years. We haven't won anything, have we? So to break that monkey and this club actually win a domestic trophy will be a start. And if that's one of the two cups, then so be it. And honestly, can you imagine the scenes if we win either the League Cup or the FA Cup? I mean,
that would be crazy.
It would just be amazing, and it would be a step. So I think we had to talk about this like 2 years ago. When we were on the brink of the takeover the first time round and it got kibosh, and we said we would want it to be done. It would be evolution rather than revolution, and I think that's right. We want to be seen to be grown as a football club, where sometimes the sum of the parts are greater, than.
And I think ultimately to get into that top four eventually, or even the top six, if you want to just get into Europe, like that's what you've got to be. You've got to have a season where you are better than the sum of your parts. So then once you're in that competition you want to be in, you then it opens you up to like a better quality level of player, because you can say, well, we've got European football. So
I think if you talk the vast majority of our support, if we are competing in the upper echelons of the league, and I mean the top 8 of the league next season, that would be brilliant. We do not expect to win the Premier League title. We do not expect to qualify for the Champions League next season. I just don't. And yet I'm so happy about the way we are at the moment. I just feel like this huge weight. You did your review of the season, and I watched the video the other day, and I was just thinking back 6 months ago, we were just being taken over by, Amanda Staveley and a group. And I just think that excitement of that. And here we are 6 months in, and we said all along that we wanted to stay in the Premier League. And I think we're going to do that. And now it's just this excitement about what comes next. But it's not about winning the Premier League. That's definitely not in my head. Blinking heck, it's just about being up there and starting to build towards something great. And that's what
also,
I see.
What I would say is, having experienced Newcastle United under Keegan, when I look back on it, like the beauty of the Keegan era was that it wasn't. I mean, it was quick. To be fair, it was quick. It was a massive turnaround quickly, but like it didn't happen. Like we nearly won the league, but that was a few years later. And actually, the build up to that as a fan is what it's about. And okay, we fell short in terms of winning anything under Keegan and what have you. But like anyone who was around then, that is a golden period of being a fan of Newcastle. And like it's just, I'm so excited. Like there's literally a whole generation of Newcastle supporters who have never experienced anything like that. And I almost don't want. I wouldn't want to sort of win something immediately. I know that sounds ridiculous, but like, do you know what I mean? You want to earn it. You want it to be. You want it to not be a.
Do you know what I think? Yeah, and I was thinking about this the other day about Chelsea, because obviously they're in great distress and about Abramovich and all the rest. But Abramovich is a character, and you should read his story about what his involvement. But that's another thing. But I look at these clubs, and to Chelsea, it almost has become this thing that, well, we turn up, win a trophy, and it's like, in some ways, I never want us to get to that point, and I'm not sure we will ever will, because there's an absolute fanaticism about our. I mean, the thing now is it's actually difficult to get tickets up for the matches. You know, when they go on sale to season ticket holders. I mean, I'm getting on at 10 o'clock on the day they go on sale now to get tickets for the other people that I have to get them for. Yeah. And it's like, that's now. That is now before when and it's like, you know, when I bought our season tickets all those years ago to get you and Andrew into the ground, because I was scared you weren't going to get through the boys' gate in the Gallagher end because it was going to be sold out, and I was going to be through while you weren't.
Yeah, I mean, so the story to that for people listening who don't understand, when Keegan arrived, obviously some of you will know this and some of you might not know this, but when Keegan arrived, we went from crowds of about 17,000 to the St James's Park as it was then, which was rubbish, being full with 30,000 for every game. So like what you did, thankfully, was you bought us a half season ticket for the remainder of the 92 season. Yeah. And then we just,
the best thing I ever did, that wasn't it really?
But like, there were so many people missed out on tickets and getting in. There was this, you probably heard about it. There was a waiting list of thousands.
Well, what more than that is that Tranmere game, which was the first game we stood in the paddock with a season ticket. There were people locked outside the ground. Outside the Gallagher, and they couldn't get in, and that was the 10th game of the season, because that was the 10-10-10, and you can't believe it. It just, and we always said, if this club actually gets any sniff of success, you won't be able to get in, and that's why we need a bigger ground now. Really, we need a bigger capacity. And it's good to hear them talking about that, actually, that they might do something about it.
What do you think? So just actually, we may as well talk about this while we're at it. And I'd love to know what other people think, actually, because a couple of weeks ago, they came out, Staveley and her husband came out and basically said they don't have any plans to move from St James's Park. They're going to look at extending it. Personally, that for me is music to my ears. I do not want us to leave St James's Park, but I do understand what you've just said about the fanaticism of this club. We are ridiculous in a sense as a set of supporters, and you know, you could increase it to 70,000. And well, like if you could increase it to 70,000, it would sell out. But people think, I've heard people say we need like 80 or 90,000. I wouldn't actually want to see that either, if that makes sense. I hope we could get to 62 to 65,000. For me, would be incredible. I don't know whether that would be enough if we're successful, but like if we can get that added to St James's Park in some way, if they can work some magic, then for me that would be enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. What you look at some of these big, you know, the clubs that are at the top now, that Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea. There's a certain amount of their fans now are just tourists. I mean, Old Trafford is around on match day is like. And I don't want that. I know that we'll have people who will come back to Newcastle but they've been Newcastle supporters all their life, and that's still what I want the club to be, this unique place, because it's just a one city club, and we get that thrown in our face a little bit. That's what we are. But we're as a crowd, and just the excitement. Remember the Brentford game that. On that day when it was just unimaginable, it was just the excitement, and that is building. And now we're seeing it in terms of the away support, which has always been good, but it's just starting to get the point where tickets will get harder to be obtained. So I want us to stay in I want to stay in St James's Park. Clearly, I've gone there since 1967. So
obviously, there's an emotional attachment there, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
For all of us. Evening, Mark. Nice to have you with us, and thank you, Tereseus. I don't know if that's pronounced right. Dino pointing out we went from the Championship to playing in Europe within 12 months. Yeah, it was fast, like I said, but in terms of what I was trying to say was, getting to that point of winning the league.
Can I just say something about that, though? It was, and it was brilliant under Keegan. But do you remember that was when it was the UEFA Cup, and it was like a knockout? The problem now is, and you see this with West Ham this season, they're in the Europa League, and that Europa League is a pain. It is an absolute pain. You play on a Thursday night, and you have all your games then on the Sunday. And people say, well, why should that make a difference? You play Champions League Tuesday and Wednesday, and therein lies the difference. Tuesday, Wednesday, but result alternates, and quite often those games are then switched to the Sunday because they're a top team. So therefore, they've got more recovery time. You play in that Europa League, and it's like Thursday night, you're flying back from the far reaches of Europe, because that's the other thing. The clubs in the Europa League tend to be the lesser lights of Europe, and then it becomes a slog. And West Ham are starting to run into that now. This is what happens. They do well in the autumn, but it becomes a real
problem. And we fell victim to that ourselves under Pardew, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Because the league ruined it for us. Well, partly because we didn't strengthen the squad. That was part of the issue.
Was probably the bigger
other issue was this Thursday Sunday thing, which wasn't very good really.
So playing in Europe back in the Keegan era was slightly easier, and actually the European Cup as it was a slightly easier competition to navigate than the Champions League. And now they're going to change the Champions League again to something awful. I mean,
well, we don't need to worry about that for a few years. So.
No, but it's just
Ginger says, have you watched the Newcastle owners video? The PGA Tour, he wants the top 4 in 5 years. I haven't seen that, actually. I've not seen it. But that, for me, is exactly what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear, because they've got a goal, but they're not promising everything tomorrow. And Mark said what I was trying to say, but in a much more succinct manner. I wouldn't like to win the league next season. It's like watching a movie and skipping straight to the last
That's
scene.
a good analogy, Mark.
That's kind of what I was getting at. I want the fans, me included, you included, but like I want this younger generation of supporters who've had a crap time for 14 years under Ashley and have known nothing different. I want them to enjoy that kind of journey that we've had under Keegan and Robson. I want that for them, because that is what supporting a football club, for me, is all about.
Correct.
Dino, this is going back to the tickets. This is an interesting thing, because I've got a friend who supports Manchester City, and his family, he was a season ticket holder and his dad was. And what happened when Man City took over was when they had the takeover, their tickets were whatever they were fairly cheap. But then after a couple of years, the ticket prices did go up. And I actually wonder if that might happen to kind of price some people out, as awful as it sounds, so that the demand doesn't get too much. Does that make sense?
It sort of does, but I'd like to think it will go the other way, to be honest, that they actually, recognise, because they keep talking about the uniqueness and the thing about the fans and the fanaticism, and we don't want to lose that. And also, and I still think this is a problem with modern day football, for young kids who want to go and see football matches as when they're at school and all this. It's not like the days of people rolling up to the Leazes end, or like me going to Gallagher end when I was 11. They couldn't afford to do it. And actually, for a long time, it was always, you could have turned up on the day going to a football match. And Premier League football, you can't do that. And I think, in a way, and I recognise that, but I do think the pricing needs to be. I would hate to see us like, the Arsenal type.
I don't think. I'm not saying it would ever get to that point, but I think that they could kind of do both. I think they could have a system where there's like, a big family enclosure where tickets are fairly cheap for children, and still increase prices in other parts of the ground, so that if we stay at St James's Park and let's say they increase the capacity to 60,000, that might not be enough. So they might have to think of ways to not have a bunch of fans that are irritated, and part of that might just be to put the prices up a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to charge £1,000 for a season ticket.
Well, we'll have to see what they decide on it, isn't it?
But this is what happened at Man City, Dad. This is what I'm saying.
No, I get it, and I just hope that, because if they're putting them up generally, then the loyal base that have supported them through the last 14, 15 years or more will get priced higher as well. So it's not, prices will go up generally, and I hope that doesn't. I hope they keep it realistic. I mean, it's bad enough as it is in a way. But you would like to think they won't do it. They won't be too greedy with it. Is what I'm saying. The thing with the family enclosure, I think that it's a great idea. The other thing that they want to toy with as well is the standing areas.
Oh yeah,
you can increase your capacity with more that way, can't you?
Yes,
So
yes, I've never considered that actually when I've thought about expanding. But yeah, that's true. Presumably the Gallagher would be the area that'd go for that.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question, isn't it? And you do want to encourage kids to be able to come to the game, and in some ways, there's part of me which, I know family enclosures are great, and it was that they come with an adult member, but wouldn't it be great if kids actually, teenagers could just get into a ground without that being necessary, like they can lower down the leagues. It's about that. It's how do you start? And I know it's modern football, and I understand, but I
think things have changed. I think things have changed. Everything's.
Mind if you were, in lower down the leagues, then that's what they can do, isn't it? Because they've got the space. But Premier League football is an expensive commodity. But anyway.
Yeah. Ginger's made an interesting comment here that I think is worth discussing, because I think you kind of touched on it, or someone touched on it a few minutes ago. Ginger says, I love Eddie Howe, but one day it will take a big name manager to make us a Champions League side in football. Big managers make top signings because players buy into them. It's just how football is. And I understand that completely. And, the reality is, under these owners, Eddie Howe might not be there. Well, he won't be there forever. Like, no one's going to be there forever. But, like, I don't know. Like, I know what you're saying, but I'd like to think Eddie Howe could build his reputation, as I guess.
Yeah, and do you know what? I mean, if you look at modern football, you look at the teams at the top, look at the chopping and changing Manchester United have done, or Chelsea have done. And I know they're established, but Man United are clinging onto the coattails at the minute because they're chopping and changing.
Yeah, but then Chelsea have had that model. Yeah, but then Chelsea have had that model for a decade or more, and have been really successful.
And then what's the other one? I mean, Arsenal obviously, have seem to be, with Arteta, have managed to, find somebody who has improved them. But it's not a given, is it? What I'm saying is, these top big name managers come with an ego, and yes, they may win. They may be the winner that we want. But like you said, Ian, no manager stays at a football club forever, does it? It's just not the way now. So at some point, it will change, because that's just the nature of the beast. Who would have thought that Kevin Keegan would have walked out because in January '97, after what he'd done in the previous 5 years? I mean, we know he was always very, emotional, and sort of, he was always prone to doing stuff. Hard on the sleeve. But yeah, I think Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe's the manager now. Let's see how far he can go.
Yeah, Will's saying the same there, really. He wants to see Howe evolve. I think Eddie Howe is really exciting. And, I don't know, maybe in 3 years or 5 years, we haven't progressed as much as we all want under Howe. And there's the owners feel like there needs to be a change. But I can envision a scenario where he grows with the club and actually does bring us what we want. And gets the chance to show it, and ultimately, if you end up getting Champions League football and you win an FA Cup or something, you will attract players. Like the recruitment these days, players come for the money and the competitions the teams are playing in. Yes, manager's important, but I think it's less important than it used to be.
I think, looking back to Keegan, I mean, I love Kevin Keegan, and he's still me, what he did as a player and then as a manager surpasses anything over the last 40, 50 years. But Eddie Howe's got a chance here because he's a better coach than Kevin Keegan. Kevin Keegan was a great man manager, and he was a great motivator, and but actually when the wheels fell off a little bit, he was found to be lacking at times. A bit of not lacking, but a bit of nous, a bit of
that was what was always thrown at him, wasn't it? It was the kind of that was kind of his undoing in a sense.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But I would have a word said against him. I mean, he was just, I mean, there should be a big statue, and one of the stands should be named after Kevin Keegan, because he was just absolutely immense for this football club, without any doubt. And I think Eddie Howe is a good coach. I mean, the thing I love about Eddie Howe, when I listen to him talk, is he never overplays a win, and he never sort of goes too mad about a defeat. But but he knows what he's talking to his players about, and he works them, and he organises. He has a plan A, but he has a plan B, and probably a plan C as well from listening to him. And I think the players have really liked that in the last few months. That certainty of where they're progressing, what they're doing, how the formation's going to be. I just think he's done really better than I think people give him. Well, certainly the bigger media give him some credit for, really.
Yeah. By the way, I did pronounce this correctly, because they said so. Terraceus. What should be the topmost priority for the new owners this summer? Training facility, playing squad, or St James's Park extension? I think all three of those things are really important, and I don't think it's either or. I think it can be all of them. And actually, I think the training facility thing. I think they've started the process on looking at that already.
I think the training facility is a longer term thing, but the process
it's not going to be instant.
The process has started. I think of those three now, the playing squad is still the number one, because we've got to get two strikers in. But we said that earlier.
We've got to improve the squad before next season. That's
the SJP. The expansion of St James's Park will be something they're working on in the background that will take a while to explore those possibilities, the cost, the feasibility. That's a big task. But so I think all three will be on the list, but I still think playing squad is number one in the summer.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the training facility and the St James's Park extension are medium-term projects, and the playing squad is a short-term project. So that takes priority in that sense. But I think they're working on all three of those things already all the time. And the thing with the playing squad recruitment, that process will never stop now. That will just be constant, because that's what elite clubs have to do. They have to constantly be scouting and looking.
Talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about whether the club are actually looking. The bit of land that actually sold off at the back of the Gallagher.
Yeah.
Because there was a rumour that the people who bought it weren't able to do it because they'd gone bust, or there was problems. Yeah. Because Jamie Rubin's involved in the building of the new Pilgrim Street quarter in Newcastle. Okay. Yeah. Where the shack is, where the Odeon used to be. I mean, that shack is, I'm sure it's very popular, and that probably upset a lot of people here, but it's a bloody eyesore. It's horrible. And that Pilgrim Street, that whole area down to the Tyne Bridge. I mean, the Tyne Bridge needs a good paint, by the way. And it's absolutely shocking.
Some pictures of that.
Shocking. Our pride, and the thing that says this is Newcastle, is such a mess. But that area, Jamie Rubin's involved in the people developing the Pilgrim Street quarter. And the Inland Revenue, the HMRC, are moving from the east end of Newcastle, so Forley and Ensway, and they're moving into this new centre. All the stuff from there. So that's going to be a big project. But what somebody said was, I wonder, because of the connections with the council and what's going on, whether they're looking at buying back that bit of land and actually using it to develop the club.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you'd hope so. The only thing with that is I'd heard they'd started building on that now. So I don't know whether that's true or not.
Well, I haven't seen the building start. I mean, the built around the Strawberry. Yeah, I mean, that's enclosed like...
Yeah, the bit that we're talking about next to it. I don't know if anyone else knows, but I thought that actually that building work had begun finally. So I mean, that's I think if they throw enough money at it, they could get it back, and then that would make the expansion of the Gallagher end feasible and bigger than it could be if that land is built on.
I mean, what an act of greedy vandalism that is by Ashley, isn't it?
Yeah,
hiving off some of that belonged to the club and selling the
one
land.
final FU, wasn't it? Dino says, are we going to struggle to offload some of our deadwood? We've gave some ridiculous contracts under Ashley. Could this be a problem?
Yeah,
it could be, but I also think that we're in a position where the club will get rid of them and probably say, yeah, we'll pay X amount of
if
the
we give them the
contract.
Gateshead or Sunderland or
Yeah. But you're right. We've got some pretty average players who are on decent contracts that no one else is going to pay. So, but I think they'll get rid of them, and I think the Newcastle will say, yeah, we'll subsidise the wages for 2 or 3 years, and then and just write it off as a, they'll just write it off.
I'm sure that's what will happen. Yeah.
So if ultimately, there's no point in keeping players who can't play because they're not going to be in the 25-man squad, and the players will want to go. So there'll be deals to be had for those players. So some teams will probably get a pretty good bargain with some of them. Ginger reckons the squad is the priority out of those three things. I think I agree with that as well, because we need to build a top 8 side. That is the next step. What after survival? I think if you look at the league, really, yeah, we could say top 10, but really we want to. I think we look at someone like West Ham. They're going to finish 7th, possibly 8th, and I think that's the kind of squad we target next season as trying to be better than. I would say. Ginger also says we don't have top scouts. Well, yeah, but we will get them. That's the point. So we're gonna,
we're getting a lot of dogs.
Having the best of the best. To be honest, that's what I think. The recruitment.
Did he mean pub scheme, not dogs?
Pub team scouts, yeah. Pub team scouts, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, all that stuff. I don't worry about any of that stuff because it's all in hand. Like Staveley and the owners, they know what they're doing. They've got a plan. They just can't do everything instantly. It's a process, and I think
the fact that they're waiting they're prepared to wait to get Dan Ashworth in place is a sign of that, isn't it? That they're just prepared to bide their time. And although next season's important, it's not. It's a step along the way.
Yeah, I mean, really, next season it'd just be lovely to have a season where we're not fighting relegation.
Yeah,
we should all be very happy with that.
And to be fair, by the evidence of the signings that we made in January, I don't think we can be unhappy with what the business we did. And we still haven't talked about Bruno. Actually, did you see his goal for Brazil last week?
I did, yeah. It was good. The guy's mint. I love him already.
He was playing in the World Cup.
There he is. What a guy. He was robbed, though. Goal of the month. Goal of the month. He was robbed.
Did he not get it?
Ronaldo got it.
Oh, you're joking.
No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But already a favourite of mine is Bruno.
We want to talk about Bruno.
Yeah. Just brilliant. That goal was just ace, wasn't it? What a goal.
I've watched that. Well, I sent you that link to that. And I'm sure a lot of people every camera angle. Yeah. It's just sheer indulgence, but it was just we've been so waiting for something like that, haven't we?
We have the likes of Murphy on a 6-year contract. It's mad, isn't it? That's mad. Yeah. 5 years left. Mark's talking about Sean Longstaff. I think Sean Longstaff's a really interesting one because for me, I agree with Mark here completely. I just don't see him being good enough to have a future at the club in the direction we're heading. He's already quite low down the pecking order. And we're going to bring in more players.
Remember the time when Sean Longstaff? I remember going to West Ham actually the game when he played against Declan Rice and actually got injured, and that was the start of his problems for Sean Longstaff. He went off injured, but there is no way in this world that he's anywhere near Declan Rice levels.
No.
I tend to agree. I think Sean Longstaff is unfortunately one of these players who's come from the local ranks and did well, but will he be a long-term future of Newcastle? No, I don't think so.
No. There's so many. It's going to be a really interesting summer in terms of signings and that kind of thing. And I think it's nice that we can start having these conversations actually because we're not panicking about being relegated. I mean, we've still got a little bit of work to do on that front, but pretty sure we all think we're all right now. We'll be fine. Unless we don't win any more games.
Well, that'll be the only thing. We're not going to lose 9 games, are
I
we?
don't think we will.
No.
But yeah, so it's nice to start looking ahead to all these exciting things because really, this season has just been a case of getting through it and surviving, and that's the only aim we've had. And what hasn't been talked about much actually is Eddie Howe's mentioned a few times himself that really the team are not playing the way he actually wants the team.
I know.
So it's going to be really interesting next season to see how he sets the team up when he's had a summer of transfer activity.
Yeah.
He's had a whole pre-season and he can really put his stamp on it. It's really, for me, that's really exciting because I think we'll see a much more attacking, exciting team.
Yes, a more expansive game, I've no doubt. But I think he's learned from his, and this is the thing people don't appreciate, he's learned from his Bournemouth days in terms of he's tightened that defence up. I mean, I know we've lost the last 2 games, but we've only lost 1-0.
Well, this is what I was saying earlier, Dad. The reason we had that 9-game run wasn't because we were scoring a million goals. It was because
we were better defensively. Yeah,
so our survival this season has really
it all goes back to the Norwich game when we lost Kieran Clark, and I remember we were sat in the Gallagher and we thought, oh man, 9 minutes gone, we're down to 10 men. How we're going to, But then we played really, really well, and actually we should have won that game with 10 men. But what was magnificent was he switched, and he didn't just mess about with it. He actually moved Joe Linton in the central midfield, and from there on, it's just been, that story of tightening the defence. And I know we went to Leicester and lost, and I know we lost to Liverpool and Man City, but we'll take that as it comes. The Leicester one, you said it the last time we spoke, it was unlucky to lose 4-0. We should.
It wasn't a 4-0. It wasn't a 4-0.
But it wasn't 4-0. But then from then on, it's been the defence where we've been hard to break down, and but then we've started scoring a few goals as well. And the best game that we've had was the Everton night, wasn't it? That was probably the best performance.
Yeah.
When second half, when we honestly we ripped them apart in the second half. We should have scored more than the 3.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant.
I know.
Imagine getting up at 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning to watch Kieran Clark.
Yeah. Well, there's another one that's going to be out the door in Kieran Clark. But, He played his part 5 years ago, didn't he? When we got promoted. But that's with players. They're transient, aren't they? They'll come and they'll go. And
and new players will come in and we'll love them and it'll be great. Anyway. Getting towards the end. So just before we go, just go back to the Tottenham game tomorrow. Obviously, first game in a couple of weeks, which is long overdue. But like we said earlier at the start of the show, it's really good because we've had this rest to get everyone back fit. Eddie Howe yesterday said, or on Thursday, sorry, he said that he talked about illness in the camp. So we don't know who that might affect. It sounds to me like Shelvey might not start because it sounds like he hasn't trained all week. He has trained this week, but not all week. He's just trained some of the week. So I don't know. What do you think about who do you think will be in midfield for us?
Well, Bruno will obviously, if Shelvey's not there, Bruno will be there. I would suspect it'll be. Well, will it be? You've got Willock, haven't you? And you've got Joe Linton is obviously going to be there. So Big Joe's going to be there. Bruno's going to be there. I suspect Willock will play.
Yeah. So you're just saying, just sounded a little bit like Steve Bruce there, saying Big Joe.
Oh, Big Joe. Joe Linton.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think it'll, like, if Shelvey doesn't start, which I'm getting the impression he might not, I think you're right. It'll be Willock and then the 2 Brazilians, which is exciting.
Yeah. There was a bit of doubt about Dubravka as well, wasn't there? But listening to how on the thing he seemed to indicate Dubravka was actually not as bad as what they thought he was going to be. So hopefully that Dubravka will be in goal. Yeah. And Shah as well was the other one that there were international doubts about. But
the only issue I've just remembered as well, the only issue with Bruno, of course, is he's had a long traveling. He's had a lot of traveling. He's been in South America, so I guess it really depends on if Shelvey's fit. I would guess.
If Shelby's not fit, then I think Bruno will play. And even if he is fit, I still think he might play Bruno.
Yeah. Also, I think wasn't it like Tuesday night the game as well? So presumably, it's not like he's flew back on a Friday and he has to play on a Sunday. It's like
it's our Sunday, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. And I think you bring Ryan Fraser back. I would suspect down the left.
St. Max.
And St. Max. I think he'd start with Maxi on tomorrow. Because I was talking about him today, and I just get the feeling that he'll start.
I think that the break will have done St. Maximin the world of good, and he can just hit the ground running.
Yeah,
I think we've got enough to cause Tottenham some problems. Hopefully, we can keep it tight at the back.
Yeah,
with Son and Kane, that very dangerous players.
Yeah, because the back four is going to pick itself if they're all able. So you will have Target, Byrne, Shaw, and what's his name? Who's the other one?
To be honest, I was reading messages there, Dad. I was only half listening. What are you on about? Defense.
The back four, yeah.
Oh, right. Target.
Target. That's who I was trying to think. Yeah, I say Target.
Right. Yeah, the one you were praising earlier, who's been just getting on with stuff.
It's old age, man. It's old age. I tell you.
Andy thinks it'll be 2-2 tomorrow.
I think 1-1. I'm going for 1-1.
Yeah, I'd take a draw straight away tomorrow. I think we could sneak it. I could see any outcome happening. I could see a Spurs win. I could see us nicking it. I could see a draw. But if we get a draw, I'll be really happy with that.
Yeah. Harry Kane tends to score against us, though, doesn't he?
That's my concern. Yeah. And no doubt there'll be some dodgy refereeing decisions, but we'll see. Mark saying
right, Mark.
1-0.
That'd be good.
I'd love to see that. I love a goal on the break as well. My favourite type of goal, when you score a goal on the break. Brilliant. Right. Well, we'll see. I'll be back with a video with the reaction to the match tomorrow. And hopefully Newcastle can get a point at least and maybe even a win.
Against Wolves, yeah. Well said, Andy. I would.
Yeah, if we can take 4 points from this week, that would be that would have, in my opinion, will have secured survival and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So let's hope so. Let's fingers crossed we can get the 4 points this week that we really need. So thanks everyone for joining us. It's been great once again, and we'll be back really soon with another one of these, probably midweek. I don't know.
Yeah. Good night, everyone, and enjoy the match tomorrow.
Keep an eye out. All right.